Have you ever prayed so hard that the words wouldn't come out? You just wept. You poured everything you had into heaven, and still, nothing happened. Imagine this. You're in church, you're crying, your soul is aching, you're praying, and people around you think you're drunk. This is not a modern-day testimony. This is a real woman in the Bible, and this is the kind of prayer that moved God. Her lips were moving, but no sound came out. One of the greatest prophets Israel ever had. Just tears. Raw, desperate, and God moved. You don't need perfect words to be heard in heaven. You just need a sincere heart. What have you given up praying for? Because it hurt too much to hope. Not with perfect words, but with your whole heart. I challenge you today. Pray again. Cry if you must, but don't stop trusting. Hannah didn't get her answer in a moment. She got it after years of heartbreak. He's shaping your miracle in the dark, and when it comes, you won't just receive the answer. You'll become part of God's greater story. But when God moved, He moved big. And the same God who gave us Samuel is the God who sees you now. And maybe like Hannah, you'll leave this place with no visible change, but your heart will be lifted, because faith sees what hasn't happened yet, and trusts anyway. Share it with someone who's still waiting. And come back next time, because here, we believe that breakthrough begins within. She didn't let her unanswered prayers push her away from God. She let them pull her closer. Have you ever been in that place, where you prayed and nothing changed? She said, "If you give me a son, I will give him back to you." A prophet, a priest, a judge, a nation-shaping voice. What started as a cry became a calling. What began in private pain became public purpose. That's next-level faith. She wasn't bargaining. She was so. Can you do that? Can you trust God so deeply that you're willing to give Him what you love most? That kind of trust moves heaven. I know you've been there too. It's easier to walk away, easier to assume God isn't listening. But Hannah did the opposite. She kept showing up. She kept believing. She prayed through tears. Maybe everyone around you seems fruitful, successful, and you feel forgotten. Maybe you've cried, prayed, fasted, and still nothing. Let me speak this over you. God sees your pain. God hears your silent prayers. And God knows how to turn tears into testimonies. Eli the priest saw her, and he misunderstood. He thought she was drunk. Let that sink in. Even the priest didn't see what was really happening. But Hannah explained, "I'm not drunk. I'm a woman in deep anguish. I've been pouring my heart out to the Lord." And right then, Eli spoke, "Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your request." And that one word shifted everything. So let me ask you, what if your tears are not a sign of weakness, but the very language God is using to form His promises in your life? In this video, we're going to look at the powerful story of Hannah, a woman who felt forgotten, unseen, and deeply disappointed by life. And unlike Hannah, Peninnah had children, many children. Now imagine that pain. Year after year, Hannah would go up to the temple. She would pray. She would ask God, but the answer never came. And Peninnah, she didn't make it easier. She mocked her. She provoked her. She rubbed in the fact that Hannah was childless. She used her blessings to shame someone else's lack. Still, Hannah kept going to the house of the Lord. Still, she kept praying, even when her heart was broken. And yet, out of her brokenness came one of the most important leaders in Israel's history. We'll explore what made her prayer so effective, why God responded, and how your deepest pain may be the place where your greatest purpose is born. Stay with me, because what happens in Hannah's story is not just about her, it's about you. It is about what God is still doing in people who feel like they've been overlooked. Hannah was the wife of a man named Elkanah, but she wasn't his only wife. There was another woman too, Peninnah. And one day, something changed. She went to the temple again. She couldn't even form the words anymore. She left, and her face was no longer downcast. Soon after, she became pregnant and gave birth to a son, Samuel. There's so much here. Let's slow down and unpack it. First, Hannah was faithful in her pain. Second, her prayer wasn't polished. It wasn't loud or showy. It was real. Third, she trusted God enough to give back the very thing she longed for. And finally, God didn't just give her a child. He gave her Samuel. Now, let's bring it home. You may be in a season where you feel overlooked. What do you need to bring to the altar again? Take a moment now. Close your eyes. Speak to God. Here's the truth. God doesn't need fancy prayers. He responds to honest hearts. So what if your tears, your pain, Your silence is actually the seedbed of something world-changing. Don't give up. Don't assume God is silent. If this message spoke to you, hit subscribe.